Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about Carter Hart and if he can win the Calder Trophy this season. Since Carter Hart was called up a couple of months ago, he's been straight dominant for the Philadelphia Flyers. So does he deserve to be in the Calder conversation, and can he actually win the Calder Trophy? Watch till the end to find out. Now, since Carter Hart was called up from the AHL this season in December, Carter Hart has been absolutely phenomenal with the Philadelphia Flyers, and right now, he's looking like the goaltender that Philadelphia has wanted and needed for the past 20 years. Now, Carter Hart is a 20-year-old kid from Alberta, Canada. He was drafted back in the 2016 NHL draft, 48th overall by the Philadelphia Flyers, and at age 20, he's been able to make his debut in the AHL, make his debut in the NHL, and he's had a pretty quick startup and career up to this point, but even then, he's made the NHL as a 20-year-old, which is very, very impressive. Carter Hart ended up starting his junior career with the Everett Silvertips of the WHL. He ended up starting with them when he was 15 and ended up ending his career in the WHL at age 20. In that span, he was the starter for the World Junior Championship team of Team Canada last year when they ended up winning the gold medal. And this year was looked at as a year that Carter Hart would take that next step in his development. He was looked at as one of the best goaltending prospects in the world, if not the best goaltending prospect in the world, after his time with the Everett Silvertips. And this one was looked as a year that he would transition to the AHL and hopefully be a full-time starter. Now, in the AHL this season, he did not start very well, to say the least. He ended up playing 18 games, getting a 3.05 goals against average with a .902 save percentage, and that is pretty decent numbers to what he was having at the beginning. At the start, he was at like an .880 save percentage, so it was not good whatsoever, but I was willing to pass that because he is still a young guy and he is still developing. And I was going to give him a little bit of a break for his stats so far. Again, he was still at age 20. He was still developing. But those stats were still pretty concerning. I mean, an .880 save percentage is definitely not what we expect from him. I even made a video about my concerns about his stats and the worries that I had for him so far. But something big happened and something big changed. Now, if you said at the start of the season that Carter Hart would eventually make his NHL debut this season for the Flyers, I would have thought you were absolutely crazy and absolutely insane. But there became a point where Carter Hart almost immediately needed to be called up because it seemed like every single goaltender at that point was injured for the Philadelphia Flyers. When we look back at Philadelphia's situation back in December, and even still now, the goaltending group was just brittle. The goaltending for Philadelphia Flyers was never good in the first place, but Neuvirth went down, Elliott went down. All the other guys that had some sort of value there on the big squad, or maybe even in the AHL, started to go down. But Carter Hart was still there, and while he wasn't playing great in the AHL, the Flyers decided to call him up. Now, when this call-up was announced, I was very worried for Carter Hart's long-term development with the Philadelphia Flyers. I thought bringing him up now, when he was still struggling with the AHL, and at age 20, I thought it was going to be an absolute disaster. And I, for one, did not think Carter Hart would thrive whatsoever. But with the Philadelphia Flyers, they were obviously convinced that they needed him at that time, and it ended up working for them quite nicely. But at the time, I thought this would be a terrible move for Philadelphia. It would hurt Carter Hart's long-term future. It would hurt the long-term future of the Philadelphia Flyers. With Carter Hart, he is the brightest prospect. However he may have played in the NHL this season, he is still a bright prospect and the future of the Philadelphia Flyers goaltending. But at that time, I thought bringing him up at age 20 was going to be disastrous for his development and was going to be disastrous for the one guy that Philadelphia needs right now. But with Carter Hart, so far this season, he has done everything and has proved me wrong exponentially. Now, so far this season, to say that Carter Hart has been dominant in the NHL so far would be a little bit of an understatement. Now, he hasn't played an amazing amount of games, but he's still had a pretty decent sample size up to this point as a rookie goaltender. And in playing 16 games so far in the NHL, he has put up a 2.48 goals against average, a .925 save percentage, and a 3.56 goals saved above average, which all of those numbers are absolutely amazing. And for a rookie goaltender, just shows how impressive he has been. Now, right now, the sample size for Carter Hart is a little bit iffy. He hasn't played a ton of games, but if he did qualify for the save percentage leaders, he would currently be 4th in the entire league in save percentage with a .925. So he has been just straight dominant in the games that he's played, and as a 20-year-old rookie goaltender, we never really see stuff like this happen. I mean, with rookie goaltenders, usually it happens a year or two after they make their debuts or after they make their debut seasons to truly become elite. But Carter Hart, in the games that he has played already, is a dominant rookie and is already elite with his stats so far. And to make these stats even more impressive, while he is 4th in the league in goal and save percentage right now, that is certainly impressive. He is putting up a .925 in today's NHL. If he put up those stats maybe 3 years ago when goal scoring was way down, that would still be pretty impressive to be able to put up those numbers as a rookie. But to get a .925 save percentage, I mean, only 3 goaltenders are able to do that or better. But Carter Hart, as a rookie at age 20, has been able to do it, while in a short sample size, he has proved himself so far. But when it comes to Carter Hart and his performance so far this season, it could not have come at a more perfect time for the Philadelphia Flyers. When they ended up calling him up, the Flyers were not in a good place whatsoever. They were losing games consistently, they were down in the bottom of the league, and while Carter Hart took some time to get adjusted to the NHL level, in the past few games he's been straight dominant, and right now the Flyers are definitely benefiting from it, and right now they are somehow in a playoff race. Now, I would say just about a month ago, the Flyers were down for the count when it came to making the playoffs. It seems like they were going to be massive sellers at the deadline, and they were going to be one of the teams shipping off a lot of assets. But right now, the Philadelphia Flyers had 24 wins and 22 losses, I think like 8 overtime losses or something like that. But right now, they are back in a playoff race, and in that tough Eastern Conference, it's definitely impressive how well they've done. Currently, when I'm recording this, they are on an 8-game winning streak, and a lot of that has to do with Carter Hart. Now, as I'm recording this, the Columbus Blue Jackets have that second wildcard spot. They're at a 29-20-3 record, having 61 points on the season. But with Philadelphia, they have won 8 straight games. They are 7 points behind. But again, we've seen them make up that ground of this 8-game winning streak, and with Philadelphia, we would have never thought that they'd be in the playoff race a month ago. They were completely down for the count. Their record was absolutely horrendous, but Carter Hart came to this team and gave what the Philadelphia Flyers have needed for so many years now, and it is consistently great goaltending, and that's what Philadelphia has needed to make the playoffs for quite a long time, and they are finally getting it. So really, when Carter Hart came into the NHL, I didn't really expect too much from him when it came to overall stats and playing time, but he has dominated that starter position for the Philadelphia Flyers and has not just gotten the starter job in Philadelphia, but has been amazing. I mean, when it comes to Philadelphia goaltending, to get the starter job, it is pretty easy, but he has gotten the starter job, and with injuries still, he has been dominating with the Philadelphia Flyers, and has been one of the main reasons why they've been so good as of late. And we've seen some of the games, I've seen some of the games that Carter Hart has played. He has not just been steady, he's been consistently impressive and has made countless amazing saves over that stretch. So again, we always knew that Carter Hart had that potential, especially being so good in WHL, but I don't think a lot of people expected him to realize that so quickly. And with Carter Hart, I always saw him having great potential in Philadelphia, being their starter for quite a long time. But again, I didn't expect him to do this at age 20. I was expecting more at the age 22, 23 when we would come to the NHL, get some experience, start to develop, and then really start to become the starter in Philadelphia. But I don't think anybody really expected him to be doing this at age 20. And even though he might come back down to earth, right now he's playing out of his mind, and rightfully so, because he has been great so far. Now, with Carter Hart's performance so far, we're going to transition this into the Calder Trophy conversation, and it's been pretty interesting over the last few weeks how people have reacted to how Carter Hart has played, game after game, how he's continued to save the Philadelphia Flyers and get them wins. But the rookie conversation has gotten even more interesting because with Carter Hart coming into the fold, you've got a lot of people having their goalie rookie predictions and goalie rookie impressions, and right now, Carter Hart, I think, has done about as good as you possibly expect, and right now I do expect him to be in the Calder Trophy conversation, to likely be top 3 at the end of the season, because right now, if he at least continues that pace, he is going to be way up there and might even be the number 2 guy. Now, the Calder Trophy discussion has been pretty much dominated by Elias Pettersson so far this season. We know that. He's been absolutely amazing with Vancouver Canucks, scoring tons of goals, tons of points. You guys know the deal already. He's been the most talked about rookie for practically this whole year now. But we've never really had a true competitor to Elias Pettersson this season. I mean, there's guys like Colin White, Rasmus Dahlin, Miro Heiskanen, some very, very good rookies, but not as good as Elias Pettersson has been this season. But Carter Hart has the potential to be really competitive with Elias Pettersson. If Carter Hart continues to get a lot more games played, continues to keep at this pace, he could be right up neck and neck with Elias Pettersson by the season's end. Now, I still see it unlikely that Carter Hart will catch up to Elias Pettersson, mostly because I think the injuries will start to be less and less for Philadelphia. Carter Hart will likely get less playing time in the next few weeks or the next coming months, but even then, so far he has been super impressive, and while we have seen a small sample size from him, I have liked a lot of what I've seen so far. I still see it unlikely that Carter Hart will be catching up to Elias Pettersson anytime soon, but I wouldn't say it's impossible. Now, I think the big argument against Carter Hart this season will be the games played and how much he ends up playing. Let's say he ends up playing 35 games this season and ends up having a .920 save percentage. For me, that makes it pretty interesting, but Carter Hart was called up a little bit late this season, again in December. That wasn't the greatest position for him. I mean, if he started out the season with Philadelphia, who knows where the games played could look like right now, but right now, I feel like to get that over that ledge of Elias Pettersson and to win the Calder Trophy, you likely have to have a lot of games on your belts, and I don't think Carter Hart is really going to achieve that, even if Philadelphia's goalie situation is kind of weak. So for me personally, I still got to give the Calder Trophy to Elias Pettersson. He is still the most deserving guy, and I would say by far. But Carter Hart has been super impressive for what he's been able to do in the games that he has played, how he's been able to lead the Philadelphia Flyers and lead them into a playoff race. And while Elias Pettersson is my likely Calder Trophy and might even be in the Hart Trophy conversation, Carter Hart has been very impressive in his own right. But by the time the season ends, I would not be surprised whatsoever to see Elias Pettersson #1 and Carter Hart #2, especially if Carter Hart continues to get games played and continues to play as well as he has. I think Carter Hart can definitely put himself in the top 3 conversation. I think he already has, and while I see it unlikely that he will actually win the Calder Trophy, he's been excellent so far and has been a #1 goaltender for Philadelphia, which for Flyers fans is about as good as you can ask. But of course, with this video, I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments down below. So let me know, what do you think about Carter Hart's performance so far this season? Were you surprised he was called up? Are you surprised by how well he's played? And do you think he should be in the Calder Trophy conversation? And do you think he should win the Calder Trophy? But if you guys want some more Grav videos just like this one, you can click on this card right here to watch my video about Elias Pettersson and him being in the Hart Trophy race. But that is going for today, guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on Carter Hart and his performance so far this season, and if you think he should win the Calder Trophy. And I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.